Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at potential names for the new potential team coming out to Utah. What could we see as the next name for the Salt Lake City NHL team? We're going to take a look at some of the ideas that I've heard thrown around there. If you guys agree, disagree, or if you have any other suggestions, let me know down below. So let's get right into it, because this is a really interesting topic now, as you know, this seems pretty inevitable at the making of this video that Arizona will be relocating to Utah. Now, the first thing we have to discuss is the complete possibility of keeping the team name the way it is, keeping them as the Utah Coyotes. I don't think this is likely. It sounds like the ownership there, Ryan Smith, they want an identity for this team, and he was kind of going out saying, hey, listen, do you guys have any suggestions for names? And people definitely gave their inputs on that. So I don't think that's necessarily in the question. It has to be mentioned, but I do not think it's very likely. So the Utah Coyotes is the first one. The second one I've been hearing that's kind of interesting is the Miners. The only issue I would see with this, it's not a bad name, but you could sort of associate that with the 49ers, and is that too close of a, like the 49ers, the Miners, is that something that could get possibly confused? Again, you have to think of an average person that is not an avid sports fan. Is there going to be too much of a confusion between the 49ers and the Miners? And that's something that could be discussed as well. And the easy thing that could be made fun of is the Miners, right? Is this going to be a team that plays like a minor league hockey team? This is a team from the Miners, which is a minor league team, and, you know, kind of associating them as like a rookie team or a really bad young, like, amateur team. So that's an easy dig at this team before they even play on opening night, and maybe that's why that isn't the best name, but I have heard the Utah Miners as a possibility. So looking at our third option here is the Utah Yetis or the Sasquatch. Now, if I had to choose between the two, I would rather the Yetis. I think that's more of a hockey team name because, of course, Yetis are in the snow and the ice, and they're playing on the ice. So it's an easy transition from ice and hockey to the team, right? Now, I understand Utah also has a lot of connections with Bigfoot and the Sasquatch thing, and that's probably the reason they want Sasquatch. But I think either one could work. More preferential, in my opinion, would be Yetis. But I'd love to know what you guys think. And you could do some really cool stuff with that jersey, the team, right? The logo. You could do some interesting stuff there. And I wouldn't be surprised if they took a book out of the Sharks and the Penguins, right? You get the Sasquatch logo with that triangle that every team seems to do at some point, right? Maybe we see something like that, like the Yeti is like crunching into the hockey stick, or, you know, something similar to the Syracuse Crunch logo, right? So something like that. That's something I would be looking for in terms of a Yeti. And again, color schemes, right? You could kind of go off the ballot with maybe like a purple and a blue, almost like the Florida Everblades, something a little bit, you know, off the cuff, right? I think that could be interesting. So that's the third option. The fourth option I heard is the Prospectors. Now, I actually had to look up what a prospector is. I remember it from, like, you know, Toy Story, like, oh, the prospector, but it's someone that mines for gold or coal or something like that. And obviously that is a part of the geography of Utah, right? Big mountains where there's mining and things like that. So the Prospectors is also a pretty good name. I think that's a very good option. But again, there's that identity thing with the Miners where it's like, you know, a lot of people might be like, what even is a prospector? You know, and it kind of comes to that point where it's like, you know, does that really roll off the tongue, right? The Utah Prospectors? I don't know. And what would the chant be? Like, let's go Prospectors. Like, what do you do with the chant, right? So, yeah, and these are things you have to think about, right? It sounds stupid, like, what kind of chant do you have? You know, do they just say, let's go Prox? I don't know. Maybe they have a nickname, but those are the things I'm thinking about, right? You can do some interesting designs for a logo, right? Do you have like a sheriff, like a miner? Well, there's a couple of different ways you could go with the word prospector. And yeah, I think that could be kind of an interesting name that's a little bit different. Another one that I really, really liked, which was kind of going with the nature aspect of it, more along the lines of like Sasquatch, and The Elks. I think the Utah Elks would be a great name. Um, the only issue with this is if you have some kind of logo that's a deer, well, now, the Milwaukee Bucks, they have a deer logo. The Edmonton Elks, that's literally the name of the team, the Elks. So maybe you call them like the Stags or something like that. Let's go Stags. You could get a good chant. That's an easy name. The Utah Stags, the Utah Jazz. Maybe those are even a little bit too close for most people. I don't know. But I think the Stags or the Mustangs or something like that, I think that could be a really cool concept that they could run with. And it's a little bit different, right? We see horse names as kind of an easy target, and I think that's kind of a generic one, but it works, and they could kind of mend it around their whole situation there to make it something really cool. So in my opinion, I think, honestly, my favorite name is the Stags or the Mustangs. I think that could be a really interesting idea. And then, the problem is all of these concepts I'm bringing up, at the end of the day, look at all the different ideas we had for Seattle, right? The Seattle Sockeyes, which I really wish that was the team name. The Sockeyes would have been so cool. I think that would have been perfect for them. The Seattle Emeralds, the Supersonics, right? Bringing back the basketball team name, all those things. But look what they did. They ended up going in a completely different direction with the Seattle Kraken. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to take everything with a grain of salt. They have an ECHL team, or is it an AHL team now? I think they're an ECHL. It's the Utah Grizzlies. They've been around forever. That's a professional team in Utah, in the hockey world. But I don't think they're going to do that, right? Because there's already the Grizzlies. I just don't see them doing that. Do they go down another type of bear name other than Grizzly? I don't know. You'd really have to think about that, and that's where I want you guys to leave your inputs for some type of bear name. Maybe that could be out there. You already have the Hershey Bears, so taking bear, that's a tough one to take. You already have the Bruins. Like, there's already a lot of bears in the NHL, so how far do you want to go down that rabbit hole? And that's pretty much where I stand. I think there's a lot of other things they could potentially look at completely off the cuff, not even something we're thinking about right now. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below. What would you name this new Utah franchise? Because I think that the possibilities are endless. Logos, team names, slogans, color designs, right? Logos, all of the branding that goes into the NHL, I think, is really interesting. And if they were, I really would like to see them go with some kind of like purple and light blue color scheme, almost like the Utah or the Grizzlies we saw in Vancouver, the Vancouver Grizzlies color scheme, right? They had like a teal and a purple. I think that would be cool. I think that would be really something unique in the NHL. And I think we've seen from Seattle and Vegas, they both went with very different color palettes, right? They didn't go with black, red, and white. They didn't go with the typical blue, red, and white, or orange, blue, and white. We see a lot of teams with those three different gradients because they go together, but it's becoming like, all right, we've seen that before. Let's see something new. And I think that we could see something different here with this team. And I'm sure they've already got designs laid out, and they're probably already getting prototypes for jerseys and things like that, because they got to have this all ready by the fall. So I would expect things to be moving pretty rapidly once the announcement is made official on April 18th. We also still have to wait for the vote this summer at the Board of Governors meeting for the NHL, but I would assume that would all be approved before April 18th, which is next week. We should be getting a full-on, we know what's going to happen in this entire situation well before the Board of Governors meeting. It's just more of a formality over the summer, but I think it'll be announced this coming week. So that's it. Love to know what you guys think again. If you have any name suggestions I didn't mention, or you like any of the suggestions I gave, let me know down below. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Peace out, guys.